right, welcome back to another episode of Hashing It Out with Javi. This is episode 11. And on this episode, I have an awesome guest. I've been wanting to bring on somebody from, or rather with a kind of financial background. And I think it's the time of year to do so. It is tax season after all. So I got an awesome guest. Her name is Pam Juarez. She is at TaxGirl626 on Instagram. We actually met on Instagram and kind of started talking and figured, we should do a podcast because it is tax season. And welcome to the podcast, Pam.
Thank you so much, Javi, for having me and allowing me to educate the public out there, because I know there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty going on, and I'm here to help and answer questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I've long kind of wanted somebody from the financial sector, I guess, to kind of come on and just discuss anything from taxes to investments to that kind of stuff. And since it's tax season, it's important to me. I know that I've learned a lot about taxes over the years, being a homeowner, running my own consulting business and that kind of stuff. You learn very quickly, people call them the tax loopholes. I just call it the tax law. I feel it's something that's important for people to know. And so, and even those who aren't at that, point where they either don't own a home or don't have a business, it's important for them to know so that when they do get there, there's options for them to save some money, down the road. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And also, it's awesome. I love having kind of the female Latina business driven energy, that's awesome too. So, I'm excited to have that. So to tell the listeners a little bit about kind of your background, like where you came from, kind of where you're at now, and kind of what you do, so they know kind of who you are as a person.
Absolutely. So I was born in Tijuana, Baja California. I was brought into the States when I was, I think, about a year or so. So I grew up here. This was home, but I wasn't born here. My parents were married young. They divorced when I was around 5 years old. So I do come from a broken home. A lot of things happened throughout that separation. And I was the only child for about 10 years. When I was 11, my first sister was born, and now we're 5. I'm the oldest of 5.
So were you jealous when she was born?
Yes.
Were you jealous when she was born?
No, I loved my sister. It was very lonely growing up. Like, if I knew somebody was coming over, I would be so happy, like, oh my God. So the fact that I had a little sister, she was like my little doll, like my real life.
Yeah.
And I loved my sister. And then soon after, my brother came, and then I had another sister. And then by the 4th, I was like, man, that's it. Like, I'm exhausted, because I was like mom number 2.
Yeah.
So I graduated high school. I single mother, my mom, when she remarried, it was kind of messy. It didn't really work out. I knew that at 18, I needed to figure out my life. Like, I needed to apply for a job. I applied for college, but I don't think school was for me. I just didn't want that commitment. I couldn't see myself, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I applied for an ad in East LA. It was a receptionist position. And my manager interviewed me. I'm never going to forget his name. His name was David. And he said, yeah, this is a position for a receptionist. Basically, we are a tax office. This is what we do. We get very busy. So this is a fast-paced business. And, are you interested? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. So I worked in a tax office doing a lot of assistant work to the owner, to the managers, to the supervisors. I was the one running around grabbing orders for lunch, the coffee, all that stuff. So I would see what they would be doing, and I would see the crowds outside. It was crazy. We were right there by the Mercadito in East LA on First Street.
Okay.
Between Dittman and Hicks. So it's a really popular area there. And he had been there for about 30 years. And I was offered the opportunity to be trained to be a tax preparer. At that point, the owner, he had been in business for about 30 years. He was a Cuban man, and he lived in Miami. And he would only come to LA to do taxes for 4 months, and then he'd leave. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. Like his office is still running. He's still generating. I still have a job after tax season. I'm still here auditing files and doing all kinds of things. I mean, I knew what I had to do, but I just didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't know that, you know, it was just gonna everything work out in my favor in the future. Like everything that I was doing, you know, now I'm able to really look back and say, wow, like I was given this opportunity. I was like 19 years old. I didn't know what I was. I just knew I was getting my paycheck every 2 weeks. And I was happy because I worked with an amazing group of people. And so then I got trained to do taxes. The first tax year I filed a return was in 2007, I believe, between 2006, 2007. So I actually still have my certificate. Long story short, the owner sold the business. He had been in business for about 30 years, so he was done. His wife would say, you know, don't retire and die. Like retire now, enjoy your life. When he started doing taxes, he would do them manually.
Wow, on paper.
So my job was to sit next to the owner, which was like people would wait hours to see him. People would come out of state to see him. He was like the tax, like the godfather. And my job was to do the data entry on the computer. And he would manually do the returns. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to show him how he's wrong. Like I would do, I mean, it was all playful. It was like fun, but he knew his shit. He knew how to manually do a return,
Right.
and our numbers would match. So my job was to do the computer stuff. He would talk to the clients. He would do things manually. And as soon as he was done, he'd be like, here. And I'd put everything in the system and everything matched. And I was like, wow. So the fact that I got to sit beside somebody that had been in the tax business for over, I think, about 50 years or so,
Right.
like, was just incredible.
And he probably really respected you because he saw your kind of drive, passion, work ethic, and he's like, whoa, she's really doing this. And you helped to bring him into like the 21st century, you know?
Well, what happened is that, you know, he had been established for many years. The staff got very comfortable. He had a manager. She was amazing. I loved all of my coworkers. They were older, but what happened is I was hungry and I wanted to learn. And I knew that at any point, like I knew that I wanted to start a business one day. I just didn't know that it was going to be related to that, but I knew I wanted to do something. And so my job was basically getting familiar with during the off season, we get a lot of audit resolution clients. So that's kind of like my niche now, is fixing the problems,
Right.
Which is amazing because that's really, it's hard to find a tax professional after April that's willing to take your call, willing to talk to you, and willing to help you. So I've seen a void because a lot of these tax offices, a lot of people, you know, they praise H&R Block, Liberty Tax, Jackson Hewitt. These people pop up at Walmart. You'll see them there. Like, but then, you know, and you'll go to them. And then what happens when you get a letter? Because the letters could come in for any little detail. And who do you ask for help?
You're talking, about like a letter from the IRS or the state of California saying either you owe taxes or for whatever reason, right? That's kind of what you're referring to.
So yeah, so what happens is the most common letter is a CP 2000 letter, where basically what happens is the IRS knows everything, almost everything. And so what happens
the scariest agency in this government, by the way, is the IRS. They're the scariest one.
You submit your return, and when something doesn't add up, the IRS will send you a letter. It's a CP 2000 saying, this is what you sent, this is what we have, this is the difference. You either received too much refund or you underpaid us. So what happens is they'll give you an opportunity to clear up the error. If it's an error, they'll give you an opportunity to respond to see what's going on. But if you don't, you know, if you don't reply to them, by default, you're going to owe. And what happens is after that report is finalized, they will send the same report over to the state of California, because as Californians, we file federal and state taxes. So just this Saturday, like we get new clients every week. And I wasn't too big on the social media stuff, but just recently, I'd say within the last 6 months or so, I've just been putting a lot of information out there, and the response has been crazy. Like and now with the technology, the Zoom, and being able to help people, like I've kind of like, I put myself a little bit more out there to help people, and people are really, I mean, appreciating what we do, the content that we post, and the fact that we're able to answer questions. I think that if your tax consultant isn't available or accessible, I think you need to probably change.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so important to have, like I said, since I ran kind of a consulting business for a little while,
Okay.
and then I have two houses, right? And so for me, a really good tax person, and I have an amazing one. He's been doing my taxes for, man, it's gonna date me. I'm kind of old now, but for like 20 plus years, around 20 years,
Nice.
I'm almost 20 years, and he's my age, by the way, but he's been doing a great job for me. We have it so well oiled, like it's a well oiled machine now that like when I go in every year, it's like, here's what you need. And I've even done my taxes remotely because he has a system where I can just upload files to him and I know what he needs. And then he
Yes.
processes everything and he calls me back and goes, this is what I got. And he goes through it
Yes.
step by step. So like in having a good tax person in your life, when it comes to, and I'm not saying you shouldn't pay your taxes, but I'm saying there's some taxes you don't have to pay if you have the financial awareness to not have to pay those, and that's okay. And I look at, I'm going to say something that's a little gray area that some people might not agree with, and that's okay. But if you look at what's going on with the stimulus today, right? Like our country is only giving back what, $600 now. The second stimulus is gonna be $600, right? It's what they agreed to.
Yeah.
They tried to push the 2000 through, but it didn't happen. The one before that was $1,200. So if you look at it for an entire year, people were giving back $1,800. Now, most people that work paid way more than that in taxes. So, and a lot of other countries have been giving back that amount or more each month to their citizens. So I don't trust the federal government with my money. That's me personally, though. That's just me personally. I don't trust it that when I give them, because I pay a lot of taxes. Like
Yeah.
I pay an amount of taxes that I think, let me say this in the right way. I pay enough taxes that it would hurt most people's soul if they saw the amount of money I pay every year in taxes. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's because,
But I mean, you got to do the right thing. I always tell people, like, your bookkeeping is important depending on what type of business you have. I tell my business owners, the most common mistake I see is the business owner that wants to be their own accountant and they want to cut corners.
Yep.
So I always tell people when they come and they see me, like, look, your job is to make money. If I have clients from all types of, I do a lot of loncheras, a lot of people that are just amazing at what they do. And I always tell them, like, that's your job. You need to focus on generating the money, and my job is to figure out how to make sure we're running your profit and losses every month. We're looking at your bank statements. We're making sure your money is being spent the right way.
Right.
That's my job. I can tell you personally, I do this for a living, but I have an accountant and a bookkeeper who take care of my stuff, because a lot of times I don't have time to do my shit. Like, right. I don't want to. Like, I think on Instagram you've seen a post or a meme that says, I did my own taxes and got $1 million refund.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can fuck it up easily, right? If you're not paying attention,
be me.
Right?
I'd be like, woo!
Yeah. No, you could fuck up your own taxes.
My job is to help people. So that's what I do. And then I hire someone to help me with my personal matters. So, but again, I think I might be that annoying client because I know my shit. So when I go in there, like, what's this? What's that? Did we depreciate this? Did we appreciate that? My accountant, like, she's amazing. I love her. She's so calm and patient with me. But I always tell business owners, from the start, make sure you do your research, just the basic stuff, how you're going to start up your business, whether it's going to be a DBA or if you want to go LLC, if you want to go S Corp, C Corp, the requirements. The first thing I always ask is, okay, you want to start a business, how much are you looking, because depending on how you're going to start, I lay out what, if you're going to do just a DBA fictitious business name, you're looking to spend this much. If you want to go LLC, you got to spend this much and pay your franchise fee every year. So I always tell people, these are your options. Depending on where you're at financially, then we could see what's the best option. Because not every entity is for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like the small things that I think people don't know about, like simple things, like if you're a consultant or you have your own business and you're driving around, like, you can write off your mileage, for instance, or you can write off potentially can, and I say potential because I'm not giving any tax advice. By the way,
Yeah.
let me say that first off, I should say this to begin with, but neither one of us is giving off tax advice to anybody. We're just talking about things when it comes to the tax realm and kind of reality.
Yeah.
So I am not a accountant or a tax person by any means. I just know my personal experience with taxes and that kind of thing. So we're not giving any advice on this podcast by any means whatsoever. We're just throwing some kind of facts out there that things that we know as to be facts. And also we're going to go over kind of some common questions about taxes and stuff like that. So, one of the things I wish I knew when I was young, because I was consulted a lot when I was a younger guy. I'm consulting still now, but when I was younger, I consulted quite a bit. And, I didn't, when I first started, I didn't know I could write off like my tax mileage or a percentage of my car because I used it for my business. And even like my home office, I could write off a percentage of the square feet of my home office because, which means like if I pay $2,000 a month in rent, I can kind of block out the 10 by 10 space in my office and kind of write that off based upon the business I was doing. There's a lot of write-offs that people have that people don't know about that is can help people out financially quite a bit. But again, that's more geared towards people who, have businesses, run businesses, that kind of thing. But I think it's important for people to know this because a lot of us just don't know these things. And I realized at a very young age, because I've had some mentors that have kind of mentored me over the years when it comes to financial things. And so, if I wasn't mentored by them, let me take a step back. My parents, my mom and my stepfather who raised me, they're very financially aware, very financially educated. So my education started with them first, you know what I mean? Very first. And so they have a good background, they own a business and, they've owned properties throughout the years and that kind of thing. And they're very financially aware. So they know the ins and outs. And so, it started at home, kind of my financial education, but then it continued as I got into my consulting game and kind of dealing with very high level IT work that I've been doing over the years and just kind of meeting, wealthy, rich people kind of teaching me the things that I thought I would have never known if it wasn't for them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's amazing because just being around that mindset, it's, not everybody is lucky enough to have, that guidance. Right. And it's so sad when I see a lot of, these young adults that it's like these patterns that we see growing up, like financially, like my mom, she did what she could to provide for us and that was that. But, no one, they're not talking to us about credit, how to establish credit, why taking care of your credit is so important, why your taxes are so important, why, why you have to be current with these things, like, and what happens if you don't pay the government and then you could get a possible lien in your bank account, like all these little things are not really discussed until you're, and then once you screw up, it takes a while to clean all that up and it takes a lot of money and it just prevents you from just, opportunities. Absolutely.
So, speaking of that, credit is one thing and it's a whole other topic, but we should touch on it just a little bit because
it's important.
It has Latinos, Mexicanos growing up, we're taught a lot of things. One things we're also, at least in most families I know, we're taught kind of not to talk about finances and money. We're kind of taught to like those, kind of politics, leave those things aside. We don't, at the dinner table, we don't talk about those things, but
which is crazy. Yeah.
It's insane. Right. So, but the credit thing, man. Oh my God. When I was 17 years old, I mean, immediately when you're 17, almost 18, you start getting letters for credit cards. Right. And I remember the first credit card I got was a Capital One credit card and it was for like $1,000. Right. Which $1,000 to me at 17, 18 was like a ton of cash. I went and maxed that thing out immediately and didn't pay it back for like 4 or 5 years and it destroyed my credit. Right. So like we education when it comes to credit, and everyone loves to say that, I would rather pay for everything cash. Sure, great, that's awesome. But if you know how to leverage credit and a credit line properly, it can absolutely be a stepping stone for you to the next financial phase of your life if you know how to use it properly. But a lot of us are not taught how to and don't know how to. You know what I mean? Simple things like don't max, if you have a credit card for $100, don't spend more than $30 on it. And pay it off at the end of the month. Like there's a whole bunch of things you can do. And then once you build a credit line, next thing you know, if you use it properly, you have a $50,000 credit line. And then you can start a business. And then you can do all the things you wanted to do once you know how to build that credit line. So again, financial education is extremely and critically important. and it's something I've been wanting to talk about on this podcast. So I'm excited to have you.
Yes. And I could tell you that I don't know it all. I learned a lot of things along the way, because another thing too is, as business owners and Latinos, a lot of times people don't want to help you. They don't want to share information. Everybody's just kind of like you said, hush hush at the table. Not everybody's clapping for you sometimes, and you got to figure things out, and you got to fall on your face, and you got to get up and whatever. So I could tell you, when I first started my business, I didn't have the proper advice. I started as a sole proprietor, and a little bit about starting as a sole proprietor. It's a sole proprietor is, you have a tax ID number, everything falls under you, any liability under you, whatever. And I did really well, and I established my credit lines and everything, and I would use them, and I would pay them, and I would use them, but my credit was always at a certain level, and I'm like, but I'm responsible, like, what's going on? So I actually attended about 2 years ago, I attended a driven event here in Los Angeles, and it's held by Albert Preciado, and he has some amazing guest speakers. And I came across this gal named Rondi Lambert, and he actually schooled me on how to separate myself, how to create my LLC, how to get a business credit, and how to get these credit lines and just these opportunities. So a lot of times as business owners, we need to invest to attend different events, because the information is not going to land on your desk.
Wow.
You got to go out there and look for it. And
educate yourself.
You have to educate yourself. So now, man, with all the, everything that was happening with COVID, everything that is happening with COVID, I was able to take advantage of the SBA assistance going on. I was able to grow the business, keep jobs, create more jobs. I just opened my 5th office location.
Wow.
And I am very proud to say that my team, we just hired our new girl last week, and I am, growing. I'm providing jobs. A lot of these opportunities created for businesses are important to take advantage of. Had I not done things the right way and cut corners and been a cheap ass, because I don't want to pay the government this, I don't want to pay the $800 franchise fee, I don't want to do that. Right. I would have stayed at the same. So that's why I'm saying, like, having your tax knowledge, if you are looking to become an entrepreneur, the basic tax knowledge, invest in a consultation. A lot of times, I get business owners that are just too cheap, and they don't even want to pay for a consultation. And I'm like, well,
they don't want to learn.
Your priorities a little fucked up, because you need someone to tell you these things.
Yeah, they don't want to learn.
What happens is you start everything backwards. Yep. Yep. So with that being said, I think that educate yourself, attend events, network with different people, because by networking with different people, you're gonna learn. I'm gonna learn something from you, Javi, that I could put into action. And again, that's the purpose why I'm here, to answer these questions, to share my experience as a Latina woman with all odds against me. I cannot say that I'm self-made, because along the way I met some amazing people that helped me. Right. Financially, when I was working at the tax office, I worked there for about 5 years. The business owner sold, and basically he called me into his office one day. He said, "You know what? I appreciate everything. I'm out. I sold the business. You're still going to have a job. It's going to be under new ownership. And, at this point, you're ready to be on your own. And I wish you the best." And I was like, "What do you mean on my own? Like, I need my paycheck." I was getting paid about, I think every 2 weeks I was getting like $500, and I was super happy. I'm like, what, Yeah. And so at that point, that right there, what the plant, the seed he planted in me, like, "I think you're ready to go on your own." Like, I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? So he sold, the transition took place in January. Around November, I grew some balls to tell my boss, my manager at the time, like, "Hey, just because things were changing, the pay rate, the commission and stuff like that, I wasn't too happy about it." And I said, but I didn't want to like lose my job, because I that's all I knew at that time. That's all I knew. Right. And I had just moved into my first apartment, and a lot of things. And so I told my boss, hey boss, like, I think I want to try something on my own. Is there any way that, I'm full time? Is there any way we could maybe do a part time? I could maybe take 2 days off and, and so he's like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and make a note and we'll go ahead and talk tomorrow. Well, tomorrow comes and I go to the office like normal with my coffee, everything. And he's like, Pam, come to the back. I gotta speak to you. Well, he handed me my termination letter. Oh. And I'm like, shit, what and I had just got a new car. I had just got my apartment. I had saved some money, but I had given all my savings into moving into an apartment because I didn't have credit. I had to pay first, last, deposit, plus this, plus that. So again, had I been given the knowledge of like, hey, get a credit card, build your credit, right? So I had given like maybe $3,000 to move into an $800 apartment. Yeah. And I was broke. I'm like, what the, So long story short, I had just finished paid off I had a Honda Civic and I had just finished paying it off. And after I paid off that car, I went to a dealership and I got into a $700 debt. I bought a BMW and I was so proud of my BMW. I was like, oh my God, this was like a week before I got fired. So I felt the fucking pressure because that $700 BMW was not that I got ripped off. I got fucking ripped off. Now that I look back, I'm like, God damn, because the car note was $700. The insurance was like $300 because I was a young driver. It was a nice car and it was a newer car. So now I'm like, dang, like I got my rent due. Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks, the holidays, what am I gonna do? So I went to a title company. And I was so not prideful, but I was kind of like, you know what? I was determined to do it on my own. Right. I said, I'm not going to ask for loans. I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm going to, as far as family goes, because that's one thing too. And it's so sad because when someone has an idea and there's potential, like I didn't receive any type of like, I mean, my mom, I couldn't expect much because she was still raising my 4 siblings, and, right. I wasn't going to put that pressure on her, but I didn't have any family member that really believed in me to say, and I had family members in positions to help me out. Mm-hmm. And no one really helped me out. And that's fine because it's okay. Because that pushed me. I'm like, okay, so I went to get a title loan. They approved me for like $3,500, but they take $500 from there. So I got $3,000. And, I had a bank account, but they were going to do a week to clear the check. So then I went to a check cashing place and they took $200 from my $3,000 check. I'm like, fuck, what? And then I'm like, I got to put $1,000 aside for my rent. And then I was like, I cannot let my car get repoed. Absolutely not. But if I got to be late on a payment or two, I'll figure it out. And again, without the knowledge of buying, I didn't know how to buy computers or nothing. I went to Fry's and I got a computer. Man, they screwed me so bad there too. I got a computer for like, man, $1,200. Damn. And then I was like, okay, so I got a computer. That's all I need. And I had a little space that I was able to use at my mom's job. Thank God her boss at a car wash. My mom was she's a cashier at a car wash. He had a little room and he said, you know what, Pam, like use my room. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, use my room. His name's Andy. He's Armenian. And he's like, yeah, use my room. And I'm like, okay. So I am super grateful for him because he allowed me to use his little back office. I had a computer. I had a little L-shaped desk that I picked up on the street. I don't know where, like God put a desk in on my way. I found a chair on the street and I was, just you're driving around and you see furniture. I'm like, is this a sign? Like, so awesome. Again, like I said, I'm not self-made. I had help. I had some great people that helped me along the way that probably don't even realize how much that really meant to me. And so I knew that the tax season started in January. I did sign a confidentiality agreement at my old job. So I was the highest producer in that office, but I was afraid of lawsuits. So I was like, I'm not, heck no, I don't want no problems. So my mom being a cashier at the car wash, she would see a lot of people and my mom would hype me up. My mom would be like, vayan con mi hija, ella le va a ayudar con los taxes, like da 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 da. I had no marketing budget. I think I went to Vistaprint and I got like 1,000 cards for like $20. And I went to the 99-cent store and I got a pack of paper and I got a pack of Sharpies and I cut a sheet of paper into 4 and I would put taxes $50, my cell phone number, taxes $50, my cell phone. Anywhere and everywhere that I would go, you would see me putting the little papers on their windshields, on people's windshields on their cars.
Hell yeah.
I was out here. I had a car note, and heck no, I didn't want no one to repo my BMW. I was like, oh my God, like
you're a hustler. You're a hustler by nature, and that's
man. I was out there. I would go. You know, I was so broke. I would go to eat to taco stands, and I wouldn't even get food because I was so broke. And I would just go to platicar with people and be like, okay, look, mire, yo hago taxes, no ocupo ayuda or whatever. I was out there.
You know what? But stop saying that you're not self-made, because you're absolutely self-made. What you are is self-made because you bust your ass, you've worked hard, and you've attracted the people in your life that have helped you out. So
yeah.
I often get asked by a lot of people from my past when I run into them, man, how'd you get into that? How'd you do that? Like, I work very high level IT, right? I've been doing it for a number of years now. I have a high school diploma. I've managed everything from, guys with, BAs to master degrees, even to a couple PhDs over the years. And I have a fucking high school diploma. You know how I got there? I've been busting my fucking ass off for many years. And I ran into people who saw my effort, who were able to help me get to the next level in my life. So there's what I call they're mentors to me. I've had 2 or 3 mentors in my life that are amazing. You know what I mean? One of my biggest mentors in my life is a woman who I can never thank enough in my life. She's an amazing, amazing woman, a businesswoman, driven, and taught me so much. You know what I mean? So like, don't say that you're not self-made. You're absolutely self-made. What you are is somebody who's self-made that attracted the right people to help you get to the next step.
Yeah.
And that is critically important,
Yeah. I always like to give credit when it's due. Like, really, like, I'm telling you, the way just everything happened in my life, at the same along the way, it wasn't easy. I went through a lot of things, and my escape from reality was always being a workaholic, and just, what's the next plan, what's the next idea, what are we gonna do? I went through a divorce, and I didn't know. So I married young. I married at around 18 years old. I married, and I didn't know. I never a prenup. I was 18. I didn't know, So it became a little challenging because he, with no prenup, he was we're in a community property state. He was part founder too. He did help me out a lot. He was really good with the marketing stuff. So he helped, but just things didn't work out. And I had to figure out what a prenup was and how nasty a divorce could get. So, I paid an amazing attorney I paid a consultation to an attorney. I said, look, this is the reality. I started this. I don't make tons of money, but we do have some profits. And he goes, well, Pam, like, you need to figure out your profits and offset them. And I said, okay, well, how? He goes, you ever thought of opening more offices? And I was like, boom. All right, cool. So had that not, man, and I hate to put this out there, but that's my, I'm like, you know what? All right. So no profits. We're just going to keep investing. So office number 2, office number 3. So, that's just what happened. And it wasn't like I was being, just things weren't being fair. He didn't want to be fair. And so then I had to pay an attorney to figure out how I was going to take care of my situation.
And now you have 5 offices, right? 5?
Yeah, we have 5 locations now.
Congratulations to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And we do a little bit of everything. We don't only do taxes. So we work alongside the Department of Justice. We do the live scan.
Okay.
We do DMV services. So we're authorized by all these agencies. And to get into this business, it's crazy because they do thorough background checks. They do everything. Like, right. We have actual DMV inventory in our location. So we're like a AAA.
You're like a Mexican UPS store.
I think better than a UPS store. We just don't sell boxes, but we should.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm just saying because they do like live scan and all that stuff too.
I mean? We do that. And you know what's crazy that we were actually contacted by the Department of Justice, Secretary of State, to make sure that we're open because we're essential. Because what happened with COVID is all these doctors and nurses were coming out of retirement to go help the hospitals and the shortage of staff. So a lot of these individuals came to us in the Los Angeles area to do the life scan, because a lot of people just shut doors and, they're like, we don't want to deal with it. So it's crazy how we had to just kind of pivot and figure out how we were going to remain open at the same time, keeping our team safe. And, because when we're doing life scan, we need to be literally next to each other. I need to roll your fingerprints and do all that. So I could tell you that the last 6 months I'm at Walmart line at like 5 a.m. to make sure at 6 when they open, I could see, the sanitizers, all that stuff. Cause it was challenging to get a hold of all that stuff.
Yeah. And see, again, so that's an example of kind of who you are as a person, right? So I guess what I'm hearing from you quite a bit, and it's something that I think, and I hope resonates with other people, and I hope kind of inspires other people, is that kind of every challenge that's been thrown at you in your life, whether it was your childhood, whether it was learning kind of the ropes of business and kind of the challenges of business, or now like Corona, right? As a business owner, right? So all those challenges have been thrown your way. You've overcame them, right? So there's no whining and crying about I can't do this or it's not me. No. It's figuring out how to overcome those challenges, and that's one thing that I think more people need to hear, because a lot of people get really comfortable, right? People are like, well, how do you do what you do? If you ask my son, and I talked to him the other day about this, I was like, Chris, people think I don't work because I'm at home all the time. Well, I work from home. I've been working from home for years. But my son is like, yeah, but you work all the fucking time. He's like,
this is what I have right here. This is what I have at my desk right here. That's why I was like, and it says right here, it says, if it's important to you, you will find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse.
100%.
My offices are excuse-free zones. I let my team know when they're hired on, like, I'm an amazing person. I just don't like fucking excuses. If something didn't get done, we need to figure out the solution. Why it didn't get done is at this point irrelevant. We'll figure it out afterwards, and whatever we need to address. But I hate excuses.
100%.
I hate excuses.
You know what? Hold that up again. Hold that up again, because I want to get hold that sign up again. I actually want to get a quick picture of that, because that'll be there you go. Smile big. All right, we got it. That'll be it's an amazing example of somebody who's like a leader and leads from in front and not behind. You know what I mean? So like, in other words, I'm pretty sure that you in your office and with your employees and stuff, I'm pretty sure you're willing to do everything that they're doing and know how to do it, and will jump in at any time, right? So that's a true leader. So.
And you know what I do too is I don't cut corners with my team. I hire with no experience. What I look for is good people.
Yeah.
If you're a good person, I will train you. I will get you licensed. Every one of my girls right here, like, came with nothing as far as like licenses.
Right.
And I am proud to say they're all notary. I've helped them become notary publics, licensed tax consultants, DMV agents, life scan operators, all that stuff. That's insurance agents. We run an insurance agency too here. And we help the community out. One of the things that you mentioned, for example, with your tax consultant, you're okay with doing the virtual thing.
Right.
Where we're located, we help a lot of Hispanic clients that don't really know the computer stuff. They don't really know how to read English. We have a lot of older clients, and it's sad to me. And this is one thing that I want to tell the audience out there. Like, if your parents struggle with, I have clients that come into us so that we could read a letter that came in the mail.
Right.
Like, and I already know the clients around here. Mija, no me lees esta carta, por favor. And they have kids.
Right.
And their kids are too busy to help their parents. And that really, shame on people that are not, I always say, like, because I know a lot of families that I have on social media, and I see their kids, and then a lot of times their parents come to me for just basic things like, ¿Qué me puedes ayudar con esto? And I'm like, wow, like, guys, we need to do better with our parents. We need to really help our, that's simple, but anyway, when the Rona happened in March, I was like, damn, what are we going to do? Like, I feel like a pressure because I want to meet payroll. I don't want to let my girls go. Like, I know they have families. I know they have expenses. I know they have their overhead. They depend on their paycheck. So to me, I was like, you know what? I need to figure shit out. I went online. I got these sneeze guards. I got this table. And man, we had lines out the door. We were blessed with business. We had traffic. I was like, you know what? If I need to go back and start, like, like in Vegas on the strip where those guys are like doing
Yeah.
tarjetitas and stuff, I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'll do it. I don't care.
You
Like,
figure it out.
I just, to me, a lot of tax offices, a lot of owners, after tax season, they shut down. They're traveling all over the world. The money's good. But to me, I'm like, you know what? I want to build my team, and I want to make sure my team is good. That's the purpose of
Right.
me being in business, is to help people. And that really is what keeps me driven.
Right. And providing jobs is so important. People don't realize that's the other thing too, where people are like, well, this guy has money and he's rich, or he has a business, or he has this and he has that. But a lot of people don't realize how much work it takes to get to that level. And then the one thing they don't really realize, let's say you have a small business, right? I don't know how many employees you have, but let's just say you have 20 employees, right? Like, not you personally, but to say, I'm a business owner and I have 20 employees. Like, that's 20 people whose livelihoods I'm responsible for. You know what I mean? So when Corona happens, like, that's maybe 10 men and 10 women whose lives, that have families and kids and everything else, that people don't realize when they're just like, oh, well, this business owner doesn't want to pay taxes here, or doesn't want to do whatever it may be. Like, the idea behind kind of negativity towards business owners is crazy to me, because, like, as a business owner, like, you employ people and their livelihood, the way they feed their families, having a roof over their head, all that stuff is your responsibility. And the pressure for that, if you're a good person, and I really do believe that most business people are good people, because we love to look at kind of the really bad kind of billionaire people that are kind of for sure not the greatest people in the world, but the vast majority of business owners in this world own small businesses, right? Like, there's the Amazons and the Googles and those companies and the Walmarts and the Targets, those are the exception. But the vast majority of businesses in this country are small businesses ran by normal people like you and I, who would just love to be able to give people a good life and a good opportunity to get to the next level in life, And so those things are important. So
it's important. And again, like, not cutting corners, making sure, like, I invest in my team, technology, training, stuff like that. And I honestly believe, like, if you do good will, you're going to be all right. Yeah. And, it's worked, and I don't do it because, oh my God, I don't want, no, it's just genuine. I'm a genuine person. I've been able to start this business with very limited marketing. It's a referral-based business. After the first year, when I was out there, putting little flyers on cars, I got too busy to be out there doing that. I was exhausted. And then I became a mother. I had my first son. He's 7. He's going to be 7 in February. And then I have my second, Christopher. He's 4 years old.
What? My son's Christopher too, by the way.
Yeah. So I have my boys too, and I managed to get shit done. That's why I really believe, like, what I have right here, if you really want it, you're going to figure out a way to do it. Yep. When the PS5s went out there, I know people that, don't want to spend money on certain things, but that PS5 made it under their tree.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By the
way, my son's name is Christopher too.
Oh,
I have a Christopher too, so that's funny.
Amazing. I love my babies.
Yeah.
No, and they really are my whys. Like, every day I'm like, man, I got, as a business owner too, you got to wake up and push yourself to really, because you could get a little comfortable sometimes, and every day, it's a challenge sometimes to just keep going, and so I growing up, with the broken home, my mom had to work. She had 2 jobs. When I get out of school, I was always in the after school program. So I would see my friends get picked up by their parents. Like, their parents were the ones that were lined up outside the curb at school. Yeah. I didn't have that. I knew I had to go to the after school program and then, wait outside to see if my mom didn't get stuck in traffic getting to me, Yeah. So I when I became pregnant and I had my child, I said, okay, I need to figure out what I'm going to do and where I'm going. And I said, yeah, I want to be that PTA mom. I want to be the mom at the assemblies. I want to be the mom that's there when my son's getting the award for whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, so at that point I had to figure out the business plan. I said, okay, well, I don't want to be a slave to my business, but how can I balance it out? Again, systems, training my team, making sure that everything's running even though I'm gone.
Yeah.
Kind of like setting your business on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. I'm there, but every so often we're improving things, we're tweaking things. And this year I was supposed to be the PTA mom, but this Rona messed
Yeah.
that up. I was like, what the heck? Like, I was ready, man. I was ready. I even paid when we did the registration last year in like September or whatever, because he's a first grader. I even paid like the initiation fee, and I'm like, yes, you guys call me for everything. I will be here. Cupcakes, little juices, whatever you need, I'm here. And then and it didn't work out that way, but it's okay.
No, that's good. Super impressive. I
Yeah.
congratulate your efforts and your rewards. And again, I just wish more people would understand how much hard work it takes to be successful. So, the next kind of piece I wanted to go through is we have a series of questions here.
Yeah.
That
We'll go over them. And again, guys, disclosure, every situation is different. So you want to consult with your tax advisor. These are just questions. These are very frequently asked questions. And again, it might not be, it might not fit your particular situation, but you guys feel free to maybe DM any questions, and maybe on the next segment, we could go ahead and answer some more questions.
Yeah. So we'll probably do a second podcast of this and go through some stuff. I'm sure we'll probably do a few over the years. I mean, I'm already very impressed with you. So, we got a list that Pam drew up. Pam the tax girl, by the way. Throw it out there again, tax girl 626 on Instagram. But if you're in the LA area, East LA area, for sure hit her up. But we have a list of common questions she gets that I think are, I went over them. I'm like, oh, these are good questions, and I learned some stuff too. We were kind of talking about the stuff before the podcast. I typically, when guests come on, talk to them for a few minutes before, kind of go over kind of what we're going to talk about. And so one of the ones that I thought was a great question in my opinion, because I didn't even know this was a thing, is the first question is, I file taxes with an ITIN and have children with valid social security numbers and they are U.S. citizens. Do I get a stimulus? So for those of you who don't know what an ITIN number are, Pam, go ahead and tell them what that is, because I didn't know. That's something I learned.
Individual tax identification number. What that is this number is given to individuals who do not have a valid social and cannot apply for a valid social. So the government kind of contradicts itself, because they, if you're here illegally, you're not supposed to work. And if you happen to work, you apply for an ITIN number and the IRS will give it to you, and then you file your taxes with it. So it's typically it's a number that starts with a 9. And what happened on the first stimulus is that the ITIN families were excluded from the stimulus. Dang. So let's say that I was brought into the States when I was little, which I was, and then let's say that maybe I was not in a position to get a social, so then I would have been filing with an ITIN, but my kids are U.S. citizens. My kids and I were excluded from any type of assistance, which I think is still there's a lot of lawsuits going on right now. So the first stimulus was not paid out to all of the families in the States. And that's that. However, and there was a lot of back and forth with that issue. And so now this second round, if you happen to be married with a U.S. citizen that has a valid social, you are now eligible for that stimulus. So what happens is, if you are a single filer, head of household, let's say me, I'm a mom and I don't have a valid social, I wouldn't get the stimulus. However, if I were to file married with a husband that had a valid social, everybody would get a stimulus except for me. So he would get one along with the children. So it's still a little screwed up, but I mean, I know that this second round did help a lot more families. So a tax ID number is basically a number to file your taxes if you are not in a position to obtain a valid social legally.
It's good to know. So that's good information. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And
and there's a lot of young adults that are in that situation, because again, parents brought them when they were young. They unless, depending on the situation, they can't get a valid social. So if you guys, if anybody out there needs to get an ITIN, let me know and I will definitely give you the steps. It's not hard. It just takes some time, but you want to be, in the system in case there's an opportunity for you to become, a resident in the future. I'm immigration is not my niche, but a lot of times I get clients like, okay, my attorney wants me to file taxes. That's the way you're going to prove you're here and that you're doing the right thing, filing taxes.
Right. Yeah. And that looks good in your favor for sure. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. And one of the other questions was, I was claimed as a dependent and I didn't get my stimulus 1 or 2, which means the first or second round. Can I still recover that money?
Okay. So what happened is that we have a lot of adults that every situation is different, but from what I've gathered, a lot of times you are getting assistance from the government, and you're probably off the radar, and you probably are letting someone claim you as an adult and someone claim your children. Yes, there's an opportunity to claim that in your this tax season that's going to be here. It's like a tax return, but it's really not. It's going to be, let's see, I have the exact name right here. It's like a non-filer's tool. So you are going to be able to recover that. However, do not let anybody claim you. So I'm telling people right now, because we don't know if more money is going to be given out. In order to be eligible for the stimulus, no one could claim you and no one could claim your children in case you want to qualify for the stimulus. So the people that got kind of screwed over, for example, let's say me, my mom doesn't work and I help her and I claimed her to get a little bit of tax, help on my return. Well, by me claiming her, she became ineligible for her own stimulus. So can you imagine all the pissed off moms we have?
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing is that, we didn't know that this was going to happen. The stimulus is the first one went out in April. People by April already had filed their taxes. Tax season's January through April. So I'm telling people, if you missed out on your stimulus and you qualified as an adult, you had a valid social, you weren't required to file your taxes, don't let anybody claim you and you'll be able to recover that money.
Right. Good stuff. Let's see here. There's a whole list here, by the way. So bear with us. We're going to go through these because I think a lot of these are really important questions that people might have, and so they're good stuff. So next one is, do I claim the unemployment I received? And if so, what form do I need? That's unemployment, right? So,
yes. Yeah. So if you received the unemployment, the pandemic unemployment, one of the things that happened this prior year was, well, normally with unemployment, you needed to have a job and you needed to have some type of credits on in order to get your unemployment. Unemployment is not my niche, but in the past, if you were self-employed, they wouldn't give you any money because you're not paying any unemployment insurance. Right. But with this situation, they approved the pandemic unemployment. So a lot of people that were self-employed were able to get like a lot of unemployment money. I want to say maybe between $10,000 to $25,000 for self-employed people that had been off the radar. And so what happens is that's going to create a situation because a lot of tax situations are going to change. Unemployment does not trigger refundable credit. So if you have any kids, your refund, you guys just don't make plans with large refunds because it's like you can't double dip. So right. The unemployment doesn't trigger certain credits, but if you look at it in the sense that I received this money and you can't expect all kinds of money. So yes, you will be getting a 1099-G. It's either going to be on your portal or it's going to be mailed out to you, but you cannot exclude that form. Let's say you worked part-time in the beginning of the year, you're going to have a W-2 for that part-time work. And then if you received unemployment for the rest of the year, you'll have a 1099-G. You must combine those. You must present that to your tax consultant so that they prepare the accurate return.
And if you get that form, it means you're a G, fool.
Yes, you're a G.
Just kidding. All right. So I got to crack some jokes. We've been all serious tax talk. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm usually a joker. So, yeah. All right. Next question. Someone is claiming me without my permission. How do I fix that?
Okay, so this is very common too, again, because a lot of people miss the opportunity to get the stimulus because maybe someone claimed them. What I'm going to say is, at one point you may have given your information out. You got to be very careful who you give your information to. A lot of times, and I'll see these young girls with their boyfriends, they're cool 1 year, and as soon as the refunds hit, they split. Like it's crazy. Like, you guys, do not give your social to people, because you don't never know. So anyway, there is an identity theft affidavit that we could fill out. There is a form that exists. It takes a little while for it to go into effect, but basically what happens is the IRS will send you a PIN, and when we put in your information, if you have a PIN that is needed to actually prepare a return, we have to put it in the system. Let's say you, Javi, you did a verification of identity or whatever. If you file your taxes without that PIN, the IRS will say, nope, invalid, send it to us with the PIN. So at that point, that's how they're protecting you.
Okay. So that's
same thing with dependents. The dependent may need a PIN, but it takes a while, especially with COVID right now. The IRS is extremely behind, so you can't hold your breath with that. But I mean, if you need to do it, you could do it, and it's a way to kind of fix that.
I can only imagine. By the way, I'm going to say it again. The IRS is the most scariest, concerning agency out there. If you're not, and when I say that jokingly, but also being serious when it comes to like criminal activity. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a criminal, be scared. If you're not paying your taxes, like you're an average person, you can fix it. But they came after the biggest people, right? Like Al Capone, and you can think of all the people they came after. Like they couldn't get them on anything, but they got them on taxes, right? Like tax evasion.
Exactly. And I always use Al Capone, like, look, he was he was pretty hardcore, but he went down for tax evasion.
Yeah. And well, a lot. There's a lot of big criminals in history where the federal government couldn't get them on anything other than tax evasion. So pay your taxes, you people. Pay your taxes. Don't be Wesley Snipes. Don't be, I think Lauryn Hill, right? There's a few people out there who didn't pay their taxes.
About a month ago, I was reading Publication 17, which is like the tax Bible. I'm like a freaking nerd. And it says right there, like, sources of income. You must report your sources of income, whether it's bribe money, whether it's stolen property money, like anything. Like, they want their money. They don't care. Yep. You know, if you're a drug dealer or whatever, like, you got to pay taxes. You got to, you got to report your income. It says it on there.
I pay my taxes, man. I do. And
you got to file taxes and report your income.
There's a lot of people who work on the table who have a lot of cash. And the problem is when you have that kind of cash, and I'm not going to, it's hard to use it. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting like there's
pay taxes, man.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I know some people who and I'm not gonna give any specifics, I don't want to get in trouble, but who offer to buy something for me for a lot of money, right? They're like, oh yeah, I got this amount of cash and it's $200,000-$300,000 in cash, but you gotta do this for me, like do this for me, meaning like sell me something for a lower cost and I'll pay you a higher cost. And I'm like, no, not gonna work out because I can't wash hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's ridiculous. Like just pay your taxes, man, because the IRS is scary. It's absolutely scary.
Yes. And believe me, I'll tell you guys, I focus on tax resolution and I get all types of clients. I've actually been to face-to-face audits with clients. And one day I was in Woodland Hills at an IRS department out there, and my client was running late. And so I was conversating with the agent. He was super cool. And that's one thing, like, yes, IRS is scary, but they're humans just like us. They're doing their job. You know, and once in a while, I mean, more frequently than not, you'll come across people, agents that are, you know, they're okay. Yep. They're just doing their job. But yeah, basically he said, you know what, as a tax professional, the best advice I could give you is do things the right way, because the moment shit goes down, the first person that's going to say you did that is going to be the client. They're not going to be sitting here saying, you know, so as a professional too, we have to cover our ass. We are licensed. We do have to do our due diligence. So, you know, if I wanted to be instantly rich and make tons of money, there's a way to do that. But I'm here for the long run. I'm not here to make money and disappear and have the feds after me. Like, no, to me, I like to sleep at night. You know what I mean?
Me
so
too.
And I always tell clients like how it is. Like, look, if you like to sleep at night, just do things the right way. If your neighbor got away with it 10 years, you know, that's them. So that's the thing about people too, is that a lot of times we like to compare, or a lot of times the neighbors just are talking and just making things seem, you know, bigger than what they are. So like, I don't know about you, but like me, if I'm getting a refund or something, I'm not telling anybody I'm getting a refund, because then, you know, the primos from, you know, that you haven't heard from, oh, prima,
préstame.
For all they know, I owe tons of money and that's it. Like, and I always tell people, but then there's the people that want to like show off, like, oh, look, a mí me dieron $10,000 allá. Like, why would you tell anybody that? Like, keep
Yeah.
that shit to yourself.
First and foremost, I hardly ever get any shit back. I pay so much
I know,
goddamn
but
taxes.
I always tell people, like, look, for all they know, you paid and that's it. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because then that's when people start, préstame, or,
Oh yeah.
the cundina start, and, let me get your money,
And the tanda start. You want to join a tanda or what?
Yeah. And I'll give you the first 3 numbers. Just give me $500. It's like, I see all kinds of shit, like
no, man,
all
crazy.
types of schemes.
Yeah. All right. Here's the next one. I don't have a valid social security number and I work. How do I file taxes?
Yeah, so that's the ITIN. You're going to want to apply for the tax ID number. I'm sorry, for the ITIN number. So there are several steps. They do need to verify original documentation. So if you have, like, the most common individual is like the Mexicano. So if you have your Mexican passport from the consulate, I mean, of course, no tiene visa, but as long as it has a picture ID and it's current, you could apply for the number. You do need assistance, preferably a tax professional, and preferably me. I could help you, but
yeah, get at it again.
If you try to do things on your own, you'll screw it up. Believe me.
At TaxGirl626.
At TaxGirl626, we could definitely assist you, but we do need to surrender the original document and send it to the specific department that the IRS has,
right?
Because there's a lot of fraud with that too.
So tell the tios and the tias.
And then they verify your ID, and then they give you your number.
Yeah, tell the tios and the tias that at TaxGirl626 can help you out with that.
Mm-hmm. That ITIN.
That ITIN. ITIN's everything. I had never heard of that term before, so
people could start businesses with an ITIN too.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, see? The government will take anybody's money.
Yeah, they want exactly. See, but that's why I always say, like, people, educate yourselves, because while I tell you to pay your taxes, I'm also going to pay the least amount of taxes I have to by law. And that's just, that's me though. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's an important thing to me, because if you look at the amount of taxes I pay from a just an employment perspective, sorry guys, got a little congested here. Allergies have been killing me, man. But anyways, just from an employee perspective, because I'm employed, but also from like what I pay on my consulting business, like the amount of taxes I pay is insane. So the least amount I can pay from a legal perspective, I'm good. Because
absolutely,
I probably I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself on that one, because it sounds like I'm bragging. Anyways, next one, what tax credits are available? That's a broad question, by the way.
Yeah, so the most, the tax credit available, for example, there's the low income credit, which is called the earned income tax credit. It's available on the federal and the state side. Mm-hmm. There is a limit on how much you need to earn. I wrote some numbers down for 2021. For example, again, this is not for everybody. There are restrictions do apply. Valid social, U.S. Lived in the U.S. for more than 6 months. What happens is a lot of times children are born here, but then the parents take them back to Mexico. And then during tax time, they want to come here. They have valid socials and they want to take advantage of the system. The rule is you need to be here more than 6 months. Do people lie? Yes, all the time. Do they get caught? Yes, all the time. But, for the most part, for 3 dependents, if you meet the income requirements, you get up to $6,000. And these are approximately, okay? For 2 dependents, about $5,900. For 1 dependent, about $3,500. And for single filers, they'll give you a low income credit too. But, this is the earned income tax credit. There's a child tax credit. There's the education credit. So if you went to school, like a community college, and you had some expenses, you can take advantage of certain credits available as well. You do need to have proof of that. There is the renter's credit on the state side, which is not too much, but it does help people out. There's a difference between refundable and deductible. Right. Refundable gives you money. Deductible deducts your tax liability. Right. So every income situation has a different scenario. So there are things available. Just depends on your income. There's also the energy credit. So if you are a homeowner and you've installed some like maybe solar panels or whatever, like you get some deductions for that too. There's a difference between refundable credits and deductions. So you could deduct tons of money, you might tons of things that are maybe eligible, but it might not make a difference on your refund. So it might just save you from paying.
What about the girls with OnlyFans accounts? Do they get a deduction?
Yes, no? They will get a 1099. So I have a couple of clients that are entertainers.
Entertainers, quote unquote entertainers. I
Entertainers.
like it. Yep.
And yeah, so they're able to write, they do their taxes, they get 1099s, and we write off, whatever
They can
is
write off all the
necessary for
sexy
them to conduct
clothes.
business.
Yeah, all the sexy clothes they have. So they can write all that off, right?
All yeah, all that stuff. They do a lot of online shopping, so a lot of they bring a lot of like Amazon printouts and stuff like that.
That's crazy. Wow.
Because the deduction needs to be for something that is necessary for you to conduct business.
For sure. Yeah. So I mean, they can write off anything.
Their wardrobe is important.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow. Okay. Moving on. All right. Let's see the next one. I owe the IRS and or the state I live in money. How can I get things in order?
Okay, so a lot of times we ignore these letters, we ignore these bills. You could reach out to the IRS. That's going to be a little difficult right now, or you could talk to your tax consultant. The IRS, depending on where you're at, they make money. They make money off of payment arrangements. They make money off of the interest that and the penalties. They're charging you for all that until it's paid in full. So you're able to, if you want it, a lot of people are intimidated by the IRS, but if you wanted to reach out to us, what we normally do is we have you sign a power of attorney. We reach out to the agencies that you owe. We see what it is that you owe, what's the lowest they'll accept, and then we'll negotiate for you to see how we could come up with a comfortable payment arrangement. We'll set up like a monthly withdrawal from, they'll deduct your bank account every month, depending on the day and amount that you agree to. But what's going to happen is at one point you get into collections and they could put a levy lien or a levy. So I've had people, the state, they're quick. They will put your funds on hold. They'll freeze your bank account. So, don't wait for all that to happen, because for that to be removed, it just takes a lot longer. But, set up a payment arrangement.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We can help you with that. We can help clients with that.
It's crazy they can do that.
Because it's intimidating to reach out to these agents.
It's crazy they can do that. They can just, be like, oh yeah, well, you owe us money. We're going to put a lien on your house.
They'll freeze the funds, and you have like a specific time frame before the bank hands over the funds to the government. So depending on how quick you act, like for example, I had a client that called me like, hey, this and this happened. Okay, well, they're holding your money because you haven't filed your taxes and they think you owe this much. Right. So we get on the phone with the agents, and we of course have to prepare the return, and we're back and forth with the agent. And in most cases, we could get a release, and then the money will be released within a couple of business days.
Wow, that's how the fools who owe child support. That's how they feel. You get that shit taken. That's a whole quick.
Other topic.
You get that shit taken. Yeah, I know. If you don't pay child support, they come after you.
And you don't get your refunds.
And you don't get your refunds.
People that owe child support don't get refunds. They'll file taxes, but a lot of these child support people, a lot of these individuals that owe child support, they just kind of want to break even with the government, because they don't want. At one point, some of the funds recovered from like maybe refunds, I think it's sent to the child's mom or whatever.
Well, dad. Don't forget dad. Don't forget dad, because us dads get money too.
Or the dad. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I would never get child support until.
I have a client that has mastered the withholdings and the calculations, and when he comes in, his refund is never more than $100.
That's crazy. I would
never.
And
he's like, because I'm not giving that bitch any money, and I'm like, okay.
So from a dad perspective, I would never like child support. Like for the first few years, I've had my son now full time for almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years in May, and I would never really get child support, and so. And what's crazy is before that, it's a long story. I paid a shitload of money in child support. And then when I got full custody of him and his mom's not involved at all anymore, she didn't pay for like 2 or 3 years. And what's crazy is like, I wouldn't see anything, but when I was going through the process from my perspective as a male, like if I didn't pay for like a month, within like a month and a half or 2, they were going after my license already. Like, hey, fool, if you don't pay this shit, we're going to take your license from you. I'm like, oh, shit, why would I fucking pay that? Because I didn't know early on that I was even on child support early years. Even though I had 50-50 custody, I didn't know that there was a judgment against me that I had to pay child support. So, anyways, long story short,
maybe sometimes the women, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with all that. But a lot of times I do know that women or whoever, one of the parties double dips, like might get assistance from the government
That's
or something.
exactly what it was. Yeah, 100%.
And then what
yeah.
happens is, okay, well, we'll pay you, but we'll get it from him later. And I mean,
that's
I think you end up paying triple of what they actually received or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
I've talked about that
because
in
of all the extra shit that they charge.
I've talked about that previously, and that's exactly what it was. It was a judgment from the state over child support, because it's a long story. I don't want to get into too
Yeah,
deep, but,
I know, and it's a very common story. I can imagine already.
Oh yeah. So what I'm getting at though is, what's funny is that, like, 1 year after like 3 or 4 years, probably almost 3 years of not getting any child support, I got like just a deposit from the state. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it was a deposit for like money. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, and then I looked into it, I'm like, oh, they just garnished her fucking taxes is what that was. So
You're
she
like,
was,
yes!
I was like, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, the amount of money I got from that was like nothing compared to what I was paying. I was paying fucking $750 a month for years. Like, the amount of money I got back on taxes, you know
And
what
the
I mean?
funny part is that I know a lot of individuals that are in scenarios like that, where they pay, like, child support, and then when they get the child, they still go out and they buy them shoes, and they still got to buy them all their stuff.
Yeah, nah, for me it was like, I laughed. I was like, whatever. And then what's funny is that the way that she got caught up on that is, basically they garnish her taxes over the years, little by little. And then now he's going to be 18, and they sent me a letter recently, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about your child support. Like, the amount of money I got literally over the last 2-3 years was like $15 every 2 weeks. That's crazy. And I have 100% custody, right? And I had 50-50 before for years, and I was paying $750 a month. So the system's really fucked up, man. It
is.
They try to say it's not, but it is.
I know that people will go off and start their own thing, independent, on the low, making money, selling tacos, doing this, doing that, to not pay child support, to be off the radar.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
they'll figure it out. Like, child support is the number one reason why a lot of people go into entrepreneurship, because they're like, no, like, people will leave their good paying jobs to not pay child support.
Yeah, I hear you. No, for sure. All right, on to the next one. Moving on before I get upset. I work for cash under the table. Why should I file my taxes?
Because if depending on where you're going in life, you want to be on the radar. Maybe you want to become a homeowner one day. Home loans, that's not my niche, but I know that a lot of times home loan officers call me and like, hey, we need to, client needs to file taxes, show some income. So again, you want to be on the radar, depending on what's available, SBA, the PPP stuff, all that stuff, grants, you want to file your taxes. You want to make sure you report income, because if you want to get a loan, I don't know, everybody has different goals, but I know homeownership to me personally has been something that has really kept me on track. And, you as an entrepreneur that has a business, and I'm able to write off a lot of things. And if I'm strategic, I could just kind of break even. It doesn't work that way. You have to show income. If you're in a position where, you might be an S Corp or a C Corp, then you'll pay your payroll taxes and you'll be on W-2. But the average person is just starting out. They're self-employed. A lot of times people are accepting cash, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. All you have to do is create like a spreadsheet, in January, how much did Venmo deposit you? In January, how much did Cash App deposit you? That's another thing. They're like, well, I don't know how to calculate my income. Well, now with technology, we're sending people, Cash App, Apple Pay, all that stuff, right?
Right.
So all we have to do is look at bank statements and see, more or less how much you're getting deposited into your account, and then we could start that way.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess when it comes on the table, I think this is a tough one that people don't understand when it comes to under table work, though, right? And it's just a random question I have personally is that, if I want to buy a house, right, and I have and I only have cash under the table, that might make buying a house, like a big purchase like that, very difficult, right?
Especially right now, because from what I understand, the banks, it's risky business. So I know that before, from what I've gathered, there were different programs to get you into homes, like maybe stated income with higher interest. And basically what that is you're able to go show the lender, your bank statements and say, look, this is how much I'm bringing in. And they will see about approving you for a loan based on that. And the interest is a little higher, but it's either that or getting, and I hate asking people for things. I hate co-signers, all that stuff, having to ask for all that shit. Like, I'll tell you, when I was going through my divorce, like I had a couple things under my mom's and my cousin's name and all this stuff. Like, it's so annoying to ask for these favors. And I know a lot of times, when the families are good, they'll go into a home together, but then then they don't get along, and then there's a big problem because the house is under your name, but I put all the money, it's my house, you did it for a favor to me. Oh, it gets so messy with all that title stuff. Oh, I've seen it all here.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one thing I tell people, like, it's cool to work under the table, make a bunch of cash, because you can do it and skirt taxes, and that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. But when it comes to owning property, starting a business, having any kind of credit, that really can cause a lot of issues for you, I know people, it's really tough.
So, just do the right thing, pay taxes. When you're self-employed, you usually have to pay your tax liability by April 15th. But there is something that exists. They're called estimated tax payments. And what happens is a year prior, you could send every quarter some type of money to the IRS to kind of get a head start on your debt.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I don't like all that money owed at the end of the year. So what I do is I know that every quarter I need to send the IRS an X amount of money, and I send it. And then, if my liability, let's say, is $10,000 and I've prepaid $8,000, I'm not going to feel it so much. You know what I mean? I'll just send a $2,000 check and that's it.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. So you got to get in the habit of paying these taxes.
Yep. All right, the next question. We only have a few more, everybody, so bear with us. I know these are everyone hates talking about money, but this is good education for a lot of people who don't know. There's a lot of people out there who a lot of people who just haven't been given the opportunity to be educated on these kind of things, and this is free information.
And they talk about it, and they teach us all this other stuff in high school, but these things, the basic things, I can tell you that, and just. I know we're going off topic, but one of the things that I did is I offered a tax class, and it sold out. I did it. It took place in, I believe, October, November. I'm not sure. I sold out about 20 in-person live classes. Some amazing people. And they're on their way to becoming tax consultants, licensed tax consultants. So that's what I do too. And what I do is I'm involved with different people in the community, and I'm always available for the young individuals that may need assistance in filling out a work application, learning how to I have my really good friend Angie. She runs a staffing agency. They're very successful there. They have multiple locations, and her and I are working on coming up with something like a workshop for young individuals, because I could tell you, my sister just graduated from high school. Not all the college enrollment is down.
Oh, yeah, I anticipate so.
Because people were used to going to the local community college in person. Technology, all this Zoom shit, all this stuff going down. A lot of students don't retain all this stuff.
Makes sense.
So, when I have young individuals that are sitting here in front of me, a lot of them don't even know their social security number.
Yeah, that's insane.
So we need to help these young individuals.
Yeah, the
that's our future.
Well, the younger generation is not all of them, by the way. And I've said this before because I've done podcasts with young people on this podcast. The first 3 I did with young men, pretty much. And while I'm very impressed with them, because I just kind of like, these kids don't know what the fuck they're doing. They have no idea what life is and kind of kind of reality is or whatever. But they really they're not as bad as we think they are. But what they are, one thing that they are, that aside from all the smarts that they have, is they don't have a grasp of a reality of what it takes to have things because of hard work. And I know that let me say it this way, like, a kid today, like what we've been talking about now for like the entire podcast almost, is like hard work, dedication, persistence, things that bring about success. You know what I mean? For them, success doesn't equal money, and success shouldn't always equal money, of course, but financial freedom is something that is so important that I think this generation hasn't grasped yet, because they haven't had to worry about making that bill payment. They haven't had to worry about, like you talking about, making a payment for that BMW when you had it, right? They haven't had to struggle those things because people like you and I, our parents like you and I, have been busting our ass so they don't have to worry about those things. My son can go open the refrigerator and drink fucking nopal water that costs $5 a fucking 16-ounce bottle because I busted my ass to pay for that. You know what I mean? So like what I'm saying is like the one thing this generation is not grasping quite yet, I don't think, is what it takes to acquire a successful financial freedom, and they'll get there at some point, but they're not there yet, at least in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but
it just depends. I think how you're brought up.
Right.
I think it has a lot to do with it because, I think that sometimes I have to stop myself from being too giving to my children.
Yep.
Because growing up, I experienced being broke. I experienced homelessness. I wasn't the child that had the new shoes when we'd come back from the Christmas vacation, or I wasn't the one that would come with the new shoes in September when school started. And as parents, we don't want to see our kids go through that, and we want to be givers. And sometimes you got to hold yourself back. Like, we're still playing my old Super Nintendo.
That's badass.
I'm not buying no PS5. Heck no.
So I think my problem is that I'm a big kid, so I bought the PS5 and then I bought a 4K TV, so I played the PS5 one. That's my problem. Is like
that keeps that works for you guys. That's something you guys do to bond. That's good. It's good. But there's a lot of I pray every day. I don't have bratty kids. Every day I pray. I don't want bratty kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I don't think this young generation is necessarily, not all of them are bratty. Like the young men that I've had on the podcast, including my son, are definitely not that. They're definitely really smart. They're definitely in tune with a lot of reality.
That's our future. Those are our future leaders out there. So we need to be as resourceful as possible.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is, like, for me, I was very impressed to hear their mindsets on the podcast when I talk to them. But one thing I don't think they really understand is the financial aspect of life. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing because everything has just been so kind of laissez-faire for them. So well, I'm impressed that there's a lot of positivity coming from them. There's a lot of really good things coming from them. I do worry about America as a nation going forward with a bunch of kids who don't care about capitalism. Because capitalism is an important thing, and we tend to make it this negative, bad thing, like, oh, it's really bad, because it can't. And the reality is, it can be 100%. It 100% can be bad. I mean, but it's also what's built this nation. It's what's built the entire world. Let's be honest. This is one thing people love to fucking hate on, but don't. They love to never talk about and hate on. Is the reality is, the entire world is modeling itself after our country. Yeah. If you went to Tijuana 20 years ago and I was partying over there, it was not like it is today. Now they have fucking Fendi stores and Louis Vuitton stores.
Oh, yeah. And people think it's ghetto out there. Like, there's the top notch. I mean, I've always said, si Dios me da licencia, I would love to retire in Mexico. Yeah. I would love to retire.
And what are they doing? They're modeling after the United States. What is parts of Africa doing? Modeling after the United States. What is all of Europe doing? Everyone's modeling their fucking lifestyle after the United States because of the capitalist nature that we built here, and kind of the successfulness we built here, right? Everyone loves to talk shit about America, but everybody's trying to come to America and become a citizen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
that's true.
And that's fucking capitalism, and people just forget that. So anyways, let's move on to some more questions before I get deep into those words. I could talk about all kinds of shit around that subject, but all right, next one. I want to start a business. Where do I start?
You definitely have to start with first, developing a plan. Depending on what your budget's like, seeing what entity is going to be the best for your startup. What happens is the foundation needs to be laid out. And what happens is, you know, when you start applying for applications, are you applying as yourself or as a DBA or as an LLC? A lot of times people do it backwards. They'll go online and they'll get information and they'll start applying for things. But then they're like, dang, like I could have done it this way and invested a little bit of money starting it the right way. And now you're like kind of all over the place. So depending on the type of business that you're looking to start, you got to look at the liability, the exposure.
So
and
really doing your research early on to know what your business is going to be, what your liabilities could be, and then understanding kind of exposure. What could go wrong? Yeah, how to protect yourself in case something goes wrong, and that could be like you said, doing DBAs, an LLC, basically, you know, like an umbrella corporation, that kind of thing. So here's one thing that people also. You're going to need to have a good relationship with your insurance agent because you're going to need the business owner policies, the liability, depending, again, what you're doing. Right. Because the lawsuits are out there. Yeah. And see, and again, this is not advice. This is just what I know from over the years. And please, Pam, keep me honest here. But like, people don't realize, like, you can start, like, the number one most important thing that happened in this country when it comes to business was the creation of corporations. So if you are a person doing business, you said it earlier, when you have your own business ID, tax ID from a city, what's it called again?
You have your tax ID, which is the number the government, the IRS gives your business entity.
No, but when you're doing it for like a local city.
Your seller's permit?
No, like if I went and applied for a business license here in my city, for instance, and I'm doing business as like a sole proprietor. A
DBA.
No, a sole proprietor.
A sole proprietor, sole proprietor, So that's a valid way to start a business.
Anybody can go to a city and they can go to their city and they can apply for a business tax ID as a sole proprietor. But what that means is you are responsible for everything for that business. So if, for example, you were a truck driver for your business and you as a sole proprietor and you get into a car accident, everything is liable to you because you're a sole proprietor, right?
Correct. Yes. That's why, depending on the type of business that you're starting, do not cut corners with insurance. Because insurance is there to protect you, right? Depending on what it is. So I could share with you that in one occasion, I took off for the holidays. I already had my one of my main offices, and there's an empty unit next door, and there was a water leak. And when I came back from the holiday vacation, my office was flooded because the empty unit had a bad water pipe or something happened that burst. And so I came in, my equipment was all jacked up because at this point I had my towers on the floor. Yep. So had I not been with like a good insurance agent that said, okay, look, this is what it is. This is what it covers. Man, I went, I had an option to buy $100 policy, but I went with the one that was a little higher. Right. I got into a installment agreement. And I was able to make a claim and I got paid for my equipment. Right. So you got to always protect your investment. Right.
But as a sole proprietorship, I guess what I was going to get at is like, let's say liability. Liability. So liability is the key to thing that people, this is something that, again, I'm not giving advice, just what I know from personal experience is if you're a sole proprietor and you have your tax ID from a local county or city,
from the IRS.
From the IRS, yeah, rather. Yeah. But and if you let's say you own a house, for instance, right, and you don't have insurance, and even if you do have insurance, the insurance may not cover everything. They could go after your own assets that you have. So if you own a house, for instance, and you're a gardener and you're cutting a tree down, and the tree kills a person in the backyard. They could sue you, for instance. I'm just giving people examples. Yeah. They could sue you, and they can go after your house, and they can put a lien on your house to cover whatever the insurance doesn't cover. So what I'm getting at is the important things of LLCs or limited liability corporations. And corporations, again, are one of the most important things for business for people that don't know this. You can pay a couple $100 and go on LegalZoom.com and create a corporation and create your 3 people in the corporation that need to be there. I think it's like a president and the secretary, whatever they are. But anyways, a couple $100 and you can create a limited liability corporation. So if something like that does happen, they can no longer go after your personal assets unless you're doing shady shit in business, which there are some there's some legal, there's some laws around, what you can or can't do with that. But what I'm getting at is when it comes to doing business, just be smart. Spend the extra money to do it right.
Yes.
If you have a
Amen.
business, where, and by the way, keep in mind your business, you could be selling cupcakes and think that's not a problem. But for $200 and some dollars a year, if your cupcake made somebody sick and they come sue you and you own a house, they could take your fucking house. If
They
you
could
had
they could put a lien.
a lien on your house, yeah, and make you sell
Another
that fucking
thing
house.
too is
Yeah.
it's important for people to get familiar with living trusts are.
100%.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole other topic. Yeah, we'll talk about it some other time. But living trusts are everything.
Just to kind of let you know, I started sole proprietor. I became owner of some investment properties. So now I have investment properties. I have rentals, and I had to create my LLC. It's like a separate person. Think of it as a separate. For me,
same thing here. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
I'm the managing member, and so if something goes wrong, it's the business. And basically, my properties now are. I have a living trust. I'm not too sure how it works, but I have an amazing guy that does all that for me. But basically, yeah, probate. And if you're not married and you have assets, you don't want the government taking your shit and then having people have it. So yeah, living trust is important. Getting familiar with the business structures and not being a cheap ass. If you're gonna be in business, go big or go home.
Or not even in business. If you own a house, set up a living trust for your kids. Set up a will and a living trust for your kids so that when you die, your kids don't have to fight over the fucking money you leave behind. That's another thing that's really critically important, man. I have seen families be destroyed over a few properties and whatever money was left behind because the parents didn't do the due diligence. I am blessed to have a mother and a stepfather who have set up their wills, who have set up their living trust. So when they're gone, we don't have a say so. It's already decided.
It's already
how they decided. Want to go. It's taken care of.
They asked me how, do you prefer to be buried or cremated? And I'm like, you know what? I just said, you know what? Just, man, that was a hard question to answer. Do I go big or go home? Like, do I go? I'm like,
cremate me and spread me over a naked stripper.
I put right there. I was like, man, I want a banda. I want this catering company. I want this.
Yeah, I think
I want champurrado, pan dulce. I want the banda, the mariachi, the tamborazo. I want all that shit.
All that shit, yeah. No, it's crazy, man. So, but there's, again, man, if you guys have a business and there's any kind of liability, especially if you're dealing with foods, and people think like the simple, even like a painter job, right? For instance, like I'm a painter. Let's say somebody decides to sue you because their paint made them. They think the paint you put in their house made them sick. Yeah. It's the littlest things that people can come after you. And litigation in this country. This country is a nation of laws, and litigation is disgusting in this country. And people will sue you.
California is pretty.
It's the worst.
And and then you get into the labor shit, the labor law, because maybe you didn't make the homeowner sick, but maybe your employee not your employee, sorry, your helper. Fell off the ladder.
Oh yeah.
And then now you got a whole nother set of problems. So you guys don't cut corners. If you're in a position to have employees, payroll, workers' comp, all that shit, you don't want anybody to have anything on you. Right. Don't cut corners.
Right.
Sale más caro todo. I've seen it between families.
And we've given you guys probably about $1 million worth of fucking information on this podcast alone, and it's just the beginning. We'll do more. I think you and I should do some more podcasts.
Absolutely. We could, and yeah, like again, any questions? I know there's a lot of things out there. I did want to, before we go, California, a few years ago, they did the health insurance mandate, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
If you didn't have health insurance, you were subject to some penalties, right? So then they introduced the Covered California Marketplace system. So if you did not have an employer that gave you health insurance, the federal government allowed you to go into a system, the Covered California Marketplace, and you could buy your insurance, right? You've heard the commercials, like the cutoff, whatever.
It was Obamacare, right? Obamacare is kind of what we know.
Obamacare Marketplace health insurance. Yeah. It's usually through Covered California. So I think in 2018, I'm not sure, 18, 19, we had that penalty. It went away. So in the system, if you had health insurance, we put the information in. If you didn't have it, no penalty was given. California it's just been so low key. I just don't know how this didn't make the news, like how this didn't piss people off. Because I'm going to let you guys know that effective January 1st, 2020, In California, if you did not have health insurance, the penalty starts at $750 per adult.
Wait, 2020 or 2021?
2020, you needed to have health insurance. 2020 is over.
Right.
So when you do your taxes, 2021, your tax consultant's going to ask you.
Oh, that's a $750 issue.
I don't know why this shit didn't make the fucking news.
Well, because but the thing about that entire tax bill that people don't realize, the Obamacare thing was a fucking flop.
That was on the federal level.
Yeah.
So it went away.
Oh, this is just California?
California.
Oh.
So the IRS don't give a shit if you have health insurance.
This is just
point.
California?
They're not penalizing you. This is California.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
This is what I'm talking about. They got us so fucked up here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, California is the worst state to do business in.
All right. So January 1st through December 31st, 2020, if you had no health insurance, it's $750 per adult, and it's $375 per minor, or 2.5% of your income, whichever is greater.
Jesus Christ.
Okay? There are some exemptions that the exemption list is about. It's a thick, and we're going through the exemptions, and I'm gonna really make those exemptions my bitch, because I want to make sure that my clients take advantage of whatever's available to exempt them from that crazy shit going on.
That's insane. So that's the one thing people don't understand too. There is a lot of people moving. This is the first time in many years that more people are moving out of California than into California, and they're moving out by the millions. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So California, to do business here, to live here.
Like, come on,
oh
man.
Man, come on.
Restaurants closed and
all this shit. Yeah, it's horrible.
You can't even make no money. And then the thing is that, if you're bold enough to open up your business and put a little chairs up, then the health department comes and they penalize you. I gotta hide to go get my nails done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. So this state here this state already was the worst state to do business in. It's here in the New York City, in New York State rather. But I mean, it's incredibly hard to do business here because of all the taxes. And people think what they get taken out of their check is all they pay in taxes. No, when you pay your phone bill, there's a tax. When you pay your cable bill, there's a tax. When you pay the light bill, there's a tax.
Auto registration.
Yes, auto registration.
In house, those registration bills are getting a little heavy. They're pricier every year.
Yep.
I don't see anybody that comes in here to pay their tags that pays under. Man, I think maybe no less than $150. I don't see. Back in the day, I would see $100 bill renewal fees. No, every year they pass these sneaky things on us, and I'll be the first to admit I don't have time to read everything. I have so much to read.
Guess how much my tags are for my truck this year? Just guess.
Oh God. Is it a newer truck?
Is it a
heavy truck?
It's a newer heavy truck, yeah.
Okay, so you're probably about 900.
Yeah, 800 and change.
Yeah.
To every fucking year, just taxes, just so I can drive my truck on the streets of California.
Yeah, and the thing is that trucks are the price is determined by the weight.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's heavier because you're messing up our
chales. They just want to wait. It's just a reason to make more money. Fuck, dude. It's just crazy, man. It's insane.
And then the thing is, so you went and you bought the truck, and then if you look at that long CDS looking like contract, you paid the sales tax, you paid already something, you paid this, you paid that, and then you just have to pay the bill. Oh, and then insane. If you want to get those fancy black plates custom,
I got black plates too. That's another $50 or $100, I think.
Fee on top of that.
Yeah.
It's puro dinero aquí. That's what I'm saying. The people that did not take advantage of, the people that didn't get uncomfortable with COVID. I don't like to depend on the government for shit.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why you're successful though.
You didn't get out of your comfort zone with COVID. That's why I offered these tax classes because, I share a lot on Instagram. I share my daily routines. I'm a single parent. I have my 2 boys. I get up every day. I wash my laundry. I clean my house. I'm hands-on. I do what I can, and, and so I offered this tax class and it sold out so quick. And I got I was a little afraid because the Karens, that I didn't want anybody taking pictures like, oh my God, they have, a group of more than whatever the limit of gatherings were. And I'm like, okay, so my girls they learned so much. And, I put that tax class together and I'm going to be doing that every year. And it sold out and, super grateful that I was able to teach women And I had one gentleman in my class, giving them the tools to create something, to start something.
Right.
Yeah. And the investment is very minimal.
Nah.
It doesn't, if you wanted to, become an EA, a CPA, all that stuff, yeah, it's going to take time and money. But to become licensed in California, it's not very hard. Right. It does require, some studying, some effort. Definitely experience will help you over the time. But you could start with just the basic stuff.
And
yeah,
I'm excited to have. I'm extremely excited to have you on this podcast because I seriously I there's a lot of people who make excuses for things, and I really respect the people who don't. Like like we talked about early on in the podcast, like kind of where you came from, your childhood to the challenges you had in life, early on to being successful and those kinds of things, and but the one thing I want people to understand that everybody just wants, like in today's times. You hear it often, and a lot of it is because it's been politically charged, is like it's just handouts. Like, no, there's no handout in this world. If you really want something, you got to go out and get it. And it takes sacrifices, that's, again, I told you earlier, like it pisses me off when people ask me like, oh, who hooked you up? Like, how did you do this? Like, how are you? Hard work, motherfucker. Hard work for many years now.
It must be nice.
Oh yeah, it must be nice. Well, it must be nice when you've been sitting at home watching fucking eating Fritos and watching fucking Dos Mujeres, un camino. I'm fucking over here busting my ass. That's an old school. That's an old school one, right? Bringing it back.
Thank God, the business is done very, very well, and I was able to purchase one of my dream cars early, and I think in 2015 when I had my first baby, and I remember just sitting in that car. The BMW, they didn't repo it, but I ended up giving it to my mom. I said, "Here, Mom, this is for you." Whatever. I went to the dealer. I got myself the car that I had been wanting for a while, and man, people were just looking at you like. I was like, yeah, like I did that. Like, I got into, I ended up getting the G-Wagon, the Mercedes G-Wagon. Yeah. And, I was still living in the hood. So I don't know. That was not the best move because it was scary,
people want to target you, man. They try to take that shit from you.
Well, not take it, but then they look at you funny, like, so anyway. And so I was so proud. And again, the registration on that did run me about $900. I was like, what did I get myself into? The insurance was this much, it was just crazy. But you had the people are like, oh, mira la creída, must be nice. No, sleepless nights. Right. I worked my ass off. There have been times where I just want to throw the towel in. Challenges happen daily for me. Yep. But I know I don't ever want to go back to a 9-to-5. I know I don't ever want to fill out an employment application. Yeah. I go home and I like to cook because sometimes I'm stressed out, and that kind of keeps me. It's something I do to kind of, some people do yoga. I like to cook.
Wait, can you stop there? Everybody, please take a moment and bow in silence to a woman who has a fucking career, not a career, a business owner, who has 5 different fucking places of business and still cooks. So for all you lazy fucking Latinas out there, I don't want to hear shit anymore ever again. I'm just going to put that out there.
No, and then, and I would do on, so anyway, so I'll go back to that right now, but I get home and I make these dishes and I cook these things, and I'm like, you know what? If this shit doesn't work out, man, I will sell gorditas, burritos, whatever, man. I'll figure it out. Like, There's no way I am ever gonna fill out a work application ever again. Good. Like, I'll figure it out. I don't know how, but I'm always like thinking like the next thing, the next thing. Right.
No, that's good. So, that's why you're successful. That's exactly why you're successful. Yeah. It's that mentality. It's that drive. It's that passion. It's the sort of experience from your life of not wanting to be somebody who just accepts what is. You want to do more.
And the thing too is, when all this COVID stuff happened, there was so much uncertainty that I sat there, I prayed, and I have my mentor. He's amazing.
Oof,
he just like, you know what, Pam, like, you're gonna be okay, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know. All I knew is that the fucking news was telling us that, oh my God, there's gonna be a shutdown at 6 p.m. and and then I had to turn that fucking TV off because it was scaring my team. I'm like, you know what, we're gonna be all right. Turn this shit off. Yeah. And you know what? I said, God, I am leaving everything up to you like I always do. I know what it is to have nothing.
Right.
I come from nothing.
Right.
I remember sleeping in the streets in the Christmas. I remember we were in fucked up situations, and I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to get there. Like, there's absolutely no way. But if things need to change in my life, if I need to from here just kind of go down here, it's okay.
Right.
I know what it is to have nothing, but I know how to start from nothing too, and I'll figure it out in any area that I have to figure it out in.
And that's the mentality. I was talking about that in a previous podcast about like,
Yeah.
if you can't build it all, lose it all, and then get it back, then you're a bitch. Because the reality is that we are all susceptible rather to losing everything. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like today, like it's not even successful people, even rich people today. If society fucking tanked really hard, there was a global world war, or this pandemic got even worse than it is, all this stuff, everyone who made it already could lose everything.
Absolutely.
And only the people in that group who could build it again are the ones who are really strong. Because anyone can make it once, but if you could lose it all and build it again, and you're the kind of person, in my opinion, who has that mentality and that drive, and that's everything. And people just don't really get like what that means. They don't know how much hard work it takes. Everyone wants to just say, well, like you said, look, it must be nice. I hate hearing that. Or, hey, fucking, who hooked you up? Those are.
But it's the gram. It's the gram too.
No, it's Mexicans.
Media. It's created these,
No, it's Mexicanos. I think it's Mexicanos and Latinos. We have a crab ass mentality. We're taught to be like it. For example, as soon as somebody makes it, and I'm sure you've experienced this, mira muy chingona, muy team leader. You know what I mean? Like that's and instead of saying, hey, La Corona, she made it, bro. That's fucking badass. Amazing to her. How do I do that? Instead of saying that, the first thing Mexicanos say and Latinos say is, oh, that fool thinks he's all badass now just because he's got that, or she got that G-Wagon, so she's all badass now. Instead of saying, I admire her, dude. She's strong as fuck. She's built this thing from the ground up for nothing. She's busted her ass. She's found the right people to help her out in life, and now she drives that, and she owns that, and she takes care of her kids, and she's a badass woman. How do I aspire to be that? Instead of doing that, the first thing they say is, "Oh, she thinks she's all badass," and the
thing is that it's fucked up. But as women, we are in a male-dominated industry, so I've had to work twice as fucking hard.
I bet,
because one thing about this business, the insurance business, the tax business, when we are in these conventions, when we go to these seminars, these things, it's male-dominated. It's male-dominated. I have clients that come in and want to talk to me a certain way, and I'm like, you know what? No, like. I have clients that, not clients, people that come in, salesmen. Is the owner here? What time does he get here? And first of all, when you come in here, I will never say, oh, I'm the owner. I'm not that person. I'm like, okay, I'm the man. I'm the supervisor. And when they say, oh, she's not here right now. Oh, she? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that'll change over time. I think that's changing. I think more people are accepting, but it's because
it hasn't been easy, and we deal with a lot of men, especially in this industry. The taxes, insurance, the auto registration stuff. We deal with a lot of dealerships, a lot of different people, companies that are male dominated, and so me, when I've built great relationships with people, I am easygoing. I am very respectful. Very rare will I'll cut people off, but in a nice way. Not, sometimes you do have to turn people away. Like, you know what? I don't think I'm the best fit. I don't think, because when we're doing this in this business, we build relationships with the business owners.
Right.
And sometimes business owners, you can only tell them so much, but if they're not cooperative, I got to say, you know what? I don't think our relationship's going to work. And we have to cut ties.
Right.
So it's just being respectful and, but it's been a challenge. I sometimes want to cuss people out, but I gotta.
But pat yourself on the back, because women like you are the catalyst to change. You know what I mean? Women like you are the pinnacle and the catalyst to change of like making this new realm, totally acceptable for women to be successful in business and drive. That kind of thing it's what you are doing is extremely and critically important for the next generation. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely.
So,
And like I said, I love to just hear people, their ideas, critique. As far as I've had a lot of people like, Pam, I want to start a business. This is what I want to do. I'll definitely give them my input, and just help. Like that's what I'm a person of service that likes to help. So,
yep.
Everything else, it's not
Oof.
about the money. It's building the relationships. The prosperity comes after, it
Oof.
comes.
Oof. You said something. You said something that's critically important that people don't understand either. You said you're a
Mm-hmm.
woman of service. And
Mm-hmm.
people often ask me like, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, how'd you get to there? Because I think of myself as a man who always gives back in a lot of ways to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I am constantly in service to a lot of people consistently all the time, whether it's from a perspective of me teaching a young man something or teaching a friend something or someone calling me. Like my phone never fucking stops. There's some times where I literally lay on my bed and I shut it off for 15 minutes just so I can close my eyes for 15 fucking minutes to get a minute, a very small 15-minute time to myself to just have silence. And I
Yeah.
don't do that often because I feel guilty if I do, if I'm not answering calls or I'm not responding to text messages or Instagram messages or whatever else. And I don't have the biggest Instagram following, but that shit is busy. You know what I mean?
Oh, heck
It's
yeah.
super
I
busy,
have
you
my,
know?
yeah, no, yeah, I know exactly how it is. And, it's just a balance, balancing things out.
Yeah.
You'd be all right.
Yeah. But what I'm
I do,
saying is that,
you'll see me, I do disappear here and there. I'll tell you that I've created an amazing team. And if I needed a day off, I could get it.
yeah,
I'm in that position, but I don't like to take time off. That's not me. That's, sometimes, but mentally, when I do, have some time off of work, I come up with like just better ideas.
right.
So every month I have a little getaway, whether
Oh,
it's, well, right now, whether it's, there's not much happening, but if I'm, might want to go to San Francisco, might want to go to Las Vegas, might want to take a road trip to Arizona, just little things where, it's not too far from home. And it's important to disconnect a little bit.
yeah.
And I realized that when I go away, I come back even better with just new just ideas. And I don't stop. I'm in the works of getting my license to become a realtor and a loan officer. So I'm working
Jesus.
on that.
Damn, girl.
Yeah. So the more I know, the better I am to my clients. So I could just sit here and be like, oh, I'm okay. But no, the thing is that this is not where I'm going to stop. So
Right.
I got to know more to share the knowledge, to educate people. And I always look for opportunity. There's so much opportunity out there.
Yep.
There's money out there. Even now, like there's money, and you just got to figure out how you're going to get that money.
There is a ton of money out there to be made.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up now. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Javi, for taking the chance, for giving me the opportunity.
Oh,
I know I actually came across your podcast through was it Rico?
Rico J. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, Rico J is the homie. He was on the podcast.
So Rico J, I came across his page. I think we met at a German event that's thrown by Albert Preciado and the mortgage guys here in LA. And I just remember meeting a bunch of individuals that were just amazing. And it might have been like briefly that we met, and there was just thousands of people. And so then now I followed his page, and just seeing how hard they work. They work.
Grinders.
Those guys work.
Grinders, millennial grinders, man.
They are freaking hungry. And I
Shout out.
what motivated me to kind of get into that field was just watching these guys, and just I like that, and I like a challenge.
Yeah.
So, and I those tests are not easy. They're state the state tests or whatever.
Yeah.
So then when I was like, wow, and I was like, there's no one really doing podcasts on topics that I deal with on a day-to-day. So I took the lead. I was like, you know what, I'm a message, and that's when I messaged you. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Oh shit. I'm happy to hear that you came from Rico J, because Rico J is he's local to me. So we live in the same city. We did a podcast together, and he is a friend of a really good friend of mine, someone I consider like a little brother, and it's good to know that the connection came from him, because he's an awesome guy, man. Shout out to Rico J. I'm gonna have to message him, let him know about this podcast. He'll be super stoked. He's in Mexico right now with his girl celebrating their birthday.
He's with his güerita.
Yeah, with his güerita celebrating her birthday still. They've been out there for like a fucking week and a half or some shit, man.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
Living the life, you know?
Yes, and I want to get into that field, not just because I like a challenge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I took one of my tests once. I failed it, but I'm gonna, I didn't do so bad. I think you need to score like 75%. I was like at 72.
Right.
So no soy tan pendeja. You know what I mean? Bro?
You're like, definitely not that. You're definitely not that. So, but yeah, you know what? We should do a collaboration podcast between all of us. It would be fun. We could totally arrange it.
They're talking shit.
Yeah, you can be talking shit. It'll be fun, man. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I feel like we could talk for hours. There's just so much, but any topics or any questions anybody might have, just remember that I am available to answer whatever I can and definitely guide somebody. I'm not here to promote as far as like, oh my God, I need this business. No. I'm here to help you. And if we could establish a relationship after, I've given you some advice, by all means, if it's the right thing for the listener out there, I'd be more than happy to work with somebody that wants to work with me. So. Oh yeah. Give me your information again. Throw it out there. Yeah. Instagram, so you can see me on Instagram, taxgirl626. I chose that name because I would meet so many people, and that's another thing, guys. If you're in business, keep your name simple. Because a lot of times, 3 underscores and then my name and then my last initial and then my son's initial and then no. So I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, how can I do it? So Tax Girl was taken, but I was like, you know what? I'm Tax Girl, and I'm in 626, which is my area code, is where I started. Right. San Gabriel Valley. We're about 20 miles east of Los Angeles. So we're not far. And we're not far from Los Angeles area. So yeah, I just kept it simple, Tax Girl 626. And, we get a lot of requests in the DM, but I do have a link on my bio if you wanted to request like an appointment or just like a consultation. It's made it very easy. Usually my girls that come in on Monday will print out all of the requests and reach out to the individuals to schedule something. So awesome. A whole team designated to get everybody set up. That's amazing. Again, that's Pam Juarez at the Tax Girl 626 on Instagram. Yes, thank you so much, Javi. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. I'm excited to release this one. I think it's going to help out a lot of people. And absolutely. Again, ladies, pay attention to this one. This one's amazing. Yes, she's ladies, get up. Yeah. If things aren't going your way, peínense, bañense, arréglense. Lávatela too. Go out there and look for the opportunity. I'm just kidding. You've been to the market and you see the ladies, it's 3:00, están con sus pajamas. No, we gotta. Let's go. Let's get it done. Girls, like, no. All righty. Everybody, thank you for listening. I haven't been saying this, but I feel like I need to say it. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe on whatever platform you're on. We are on, let's see, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher. Get any of the big podcast platforms that are out there that you're listening on. If you're listening to it already, just subscribe so that when we drop new, or I keep saying we, like I got a team. I'm all special. I got a team. No. Hey, you got to manifest. You gotta, the Latino Joe Rogan. Yeah. The Latino Joe Rogan. The fat Joe Rogan over here. No, when I get eventually we'll have a producer or whatever, but just subscribe so that when I drop new episodes and stuff like that, you'll automatically get notifications for that kind of stuff. So hope everyone out there is doing good. The Rona's going crazy right now, and everyone is staying safe and healthy and stuff. And my prayers go out to everybody. Yes. All right, everybody, have a good one.